Aren't nightclubs pretty high risk?
Nightclubs, definitely. It's not, tell your students, it's not as glamorous as they think it is, right? I got into the industry in college, like, oh, how cool would it be if we owned a bar or a nightclub? And one of my good friends called me and says, hey, so-and-so is for sale. You want to do it? I'm like, if this was like 5 years ago, probably, but no, not really. He's like, come on, look at it. It kept bothering me. It's okay, let's look at the numbers. So once again, even for me, before I was like, do you have their cash flow statements, their bank statements, get their tax returns? I didn't even ask about anything else other than numbers. That was my number one priority, right? To verify the money that they said they were making, look at their cash flow statements that had to be signed off by an accountant, you know, so we knew those were legit numbers. And then we started diving through it, and we're like, you know what? There's definitely an opportunity here to get a good return on our investment, and we took that risk. We're happy with our investment. Would be happier, absolutely. But you're in a business where if you either are part of the trend or you get left behind. And sometimes you have to wait for your turn almost, because that's what people do, the hot spot. But you have to be able to, once again, if you go in underfunded, you can't ride through that time where you're not the hot spot, and there's nothing you can do about it other than the fact that this is where they're going to go from now, and you just have to ride it through and be able to pay the bills until that comes full circle back to you. Great margins though in that business. You get taxed very heavily. Liquor gets taxed almost like tobacco. So, you know, these are things that we had to learn on our end. I mean, I pay an extra 10% tax on top of any other business just because I sell alcohol. You know, we get governed really strict by our local alcohol beverage and control people. I make all my money in 2 nights. Our club's only open Friday and Saturday nights, and we make all of our revenues enough to, you know, to pay our bills and get things taken care of in 2 nights. So it just really depends on what your business format is. I'm a nightclub. I'm not a bar that sells food and opens for lunch. So, you know, it's one of those things that pick your niche and pursue it. But yeah, it's a high markup, but rent's crazy. You know what a rent in downtown costs, in Old Town? It's ridiculous. You gotta pay for parking. I pay $1,800 a month for parking. I don't have one reserved spot. You know, things like that. But there's things that you learn, but you have to account for. You build it into your P&L, and you gotta make sure that...
What is your square footage rent?
I wouldn't be able to tell you the square footage unless I looked at my lease, but you're going to probably pay 15 to 17. I mean,
per square foot?
Yeah.
And is that triple net?
Yeah, that's true. Because there's no landscaping to manage in Old Town.
And then the parking's on top of that?
Parking's on top of it. Parking goes to the city.
And then you have security, because security's got to be pretty tough since they had all those issues.
Absolutely. You got to staff up for that stuff. You know, people will try to cut corners, and it only takes one incident for you to lose business for a long, long time, if not shut you down. And we've been fortunate. We've had, in the 8 months we've been open, we've had 2 fights, but nothing of you know, mass proportions. One was actually a girl fight, so you ladies need to calm down.
Come into our school. If you want to see girls.
Well, I have a question. If you were to give the kids advice on, you know, when they try to go to the investors and they get turned down, you know, and they have their financials, but they still get turned down, you know, what do you tell them to do to keep going and, you know, to keep trying and trying and trying?
I mean, most investors are, heck, I've first thing to get thick skin. No comes a lot. But every time I left a meeting where someone told me no, I always asked them, you know, so what could I have done different? Where are the holes in my business plan that I can improve on to increase my chance of success next time with the next potential investor? Because going into these meetings ill prepared is not good, in the sense of it's not easy to set up those meetings. And once you do, you want to go and you make sure you're at the top of your game. Even when you're at the top of your game, they're going to see things that you never thought of, not because you weren't prepared, but just because you didn't know any better. And so the last thing you want to do is know that you're not going to answer every single question that they possibly may have, and there's already holes in your plan that you don't intentionally have there. But then to sit back and like, oh, I'll be able to talk my way through that. No, you can't. These guys and women have made millions of dollars doing what they do. You can't. a college-educated, master's-educated can't talk their way through finances that have holes in them with claims that are unrealistic. You know, but just tell them when you get used to being told no, but you have to learn from that. That's a lesson learned. That's how I have to look at it.